Hello, my name is Baron Williams.
And I'm Jessica Clouser.
This is a comparative analysis of aggressive driving and distracted driving involving commercial motor vehicles in Kentucky. First of all, we would like to thank the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for the grant provided to conduct this research and also for providing all of the necessary crash and roadway data that we used.
Our abstract is comparing the injury severity outcomes of severe versus non-severe concerning aggressive driving and distracted driving commercial motor vehicle crashes, which are also called CMV crashes. These CMV related crashes account for the years of 2015 through 2019 and were collected from the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. We use the z-test of proportions and the chi-square test of independence to identify the factors affecting the severity of crashes for both aggressive driving and distracted driving CMV involved crashes. Some of the variables we found were for head-on crashes, use of alcohol or drugs, angle collisions, going straight ahead, and paved right shoulder. Those were the top 5 factors increasing the risk of CMV involved crashes caused by aggressive driving and distraction behaviors.
For some background information, it has very widely been reported that aggressive driving and driver distraction are two of the main causes of traffic. And a literature review showed that there have been very limited studies that compare the aggressive driving and distracted driving involving commercial motor vehicles or large trucks. And according to the Kentucky police reports from 2015 to 2019, aggressive and distracted driving accounted for 20% and 36% of all CMV and 31% and 41% of all total severe crashes.
For the data collection aspect of our research, we looked at the years between 2015 and 2019 to collect CMV crashes involving at least one large truck. That information was gathered from the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. In the pictures shown, those are examples of what we looked at when collecting data that was not given by the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. Those include variables such as crash location, median width, area type, and speed limit. We were able to collect those by the aid of Street View time slider on Google Maps, dating it back to the year of the crash occurrence.
For our methodology, we use the chi-square test of independence to take aggressive and distracted related analysis and assess the correlation between injury severity and other categorical variables. We also use the z-test of proportions to examine the presence of differences between the severe injuries in aggressive and distracted related.
To better measure the effects of each variable on the proportion of severe injuries in aggressive and distraction-related crashes, the odds ratio was calculated. If the odds ratio for a certain variable is greater than 1, that means that there is an increased risk of crash for that scenario. Overall, that just means that the lower the odds ratio, the less likely it is to happen.
For the results of the crashes themselves, we found that angle and head-on crashes were going to be more severe in both aggressive and distracted scenarios, while rear end collisions were only found to be more severe in distracted driving. Single vehicle and side swipe crashes were found to have a much lower risk of severity, while wearing seat belts was found to lower the risk of injury in both aggressive and distracted cases.
Some roadway characteristics that we viewed were principal arterial, speed limit greater than 55, and paved right shoulder. Those were found to have the highest odds of increasing the likelihood of a severe crash for both scenarios. These findings are expected as wider paved shoulders could encourage more aggressive driving as well as distracted behaviors. Lower volume of roadways was also found to increase the likelihood of aggressive or distracted related crashes.
For the environmental characteristics, we found that severe crashes that involve CMVs were much more likely to occur on a weekend in both aggressive and distracted cases. This makes sense as on the weekend there's less overall traffic and people are more likely to be impaired by alcohol. And daytime cases were also found to be less likely to be. And this is expected as there's lower visibility at nighttime and people are more fatigued at night. So these crashes are more likely to be less severe during the day.
The results for at-fault drivers and vehicle characteristics are as follows. Crashes involving Kentucky residents were more likely to be severe in both cases. A possible reason for that is the driver's familiarity with roadway conditions causing them to take risky maneuvers. Another case is crashes involving alcohol and drug usage, and those were found to have a highly increased chance of severity in aggressive and distracted. There was also a higher chance of injury in both cases if the vehicles involved were driving straight before the crash. This may be due to the increased sight distance attributed with going straight ahead, where speeding and distraction acts might increase. Lastly, there was a lower chance of the crash being severe in both scenarios if the at-fault driver was the CMV. A possible reason is that operating CMVs require more driving skills and extensive attention than those for other vehicle types.
This is a chart that shows the top 7 factors that increase the risk of CMV-involved crashes. Head-on crashes, alcohol and drug use, and angle crashes were all found to increase the severity of aggressive driving cases, while going straight ahead, a paved right shoulder, a posted speed limit above 55 miles per hour, and principal arterial were all found to be more severe and the driver distraction.
In conclusion, this study conducted an in-depth investigation of driving violations through comparing the injury severity of CMV-involved crashes caused by aggressive driving and distraction activities. The overall results of the Z-test comparing the proportions of severe versus non-severe injuries show that both aggressive and distraction-related crashes significantly increase the proportion of severe CMV-related crashes.
For recommendations, we believe that the results derived from this study could help to develop countermeasures to reduce aggressive and distracted driving. And we think that launching driving safety programs and training programs, a removal of distracting road elements such as billboards at high-risk crash spots, and intensifying traffic enforcement could reduce the occurrence and severity of CMV-related crashes that are affected by aggressive and distraction violations. These are the references that we used, and thank you. Any questions?